todos! ¿Quieres aprender a hablar español? En este video me gustaría compartir cómo aprendí español en casa en 5 pasos. Creo que el concepto central podría aplicarse a cualquier idioma que estés aprendiendo ahora. Así que no te vayas, va a ser muy bueno. Gracias. Hi guys, if you are trying to learn a new language, I think Spanish would be the choice of a language. I like Spanish because it is relatively easy for someone who speaks English as a primary language or any other European language. Spanish would be a good choice because it has the same writing system, so you don't have to learn a new writing system as it would be the case if you're learning an Oriental language such as Korean, Mandarin, or Japanese. Secondly, Spanish has a lot of words that have the same origin, the same Latin origin as many words in English or any other European language. Being able to guess what the word may mean is a huge help when learning a new language. However, Spanish is still a unique language. I find that there are a lot of grammatical elements that are quite foreign to English. Then, how do we get started? Where do we start? What are the 5 steps of learning Spanish at home? So let's get started. Step 1 of learning Spanish at home. You start where you are. If you are a beginner, you start at the beginner level. I like using a beginner level exercise book with an audio, which I showed to you in another video. I'm learning Chinese and I showed to you a beginner level Chinese book. So you want to choose something that's very basic, but at the same time very informative and very practical for you to begin learning the language. In my case, it was a Pimsleur. Pimsleur is an excellent program for a beginner learner. By the way, it is available on loan for free at most public libraries in the States, so why not give it a try? I like the Pimsleur program because it is a listening-based program. It trains your ear to the new sounds of the language that you're learning, and it allows you to interact right away in the language in an intellectually stimulating way. Each lesson is 30 minutes long, and you can move on to the next lesson once you have mastered 80% of the material, which is an awesome thing because you don't feel like you have to be perfect. It was interesting to know that Dr. Pimsleur, the author of the program, doesn't want you to write down the learning material. He thought that it could interfere with your learning. I liked using Pimsleur because it allowed me to understand what the language sounds like and also gave me enough initial training so that I could respond quickly enough in a conversational situation. However, there's a limit to how much you can learn through Pimsleur. And that's where the next step comes into play. Step 2 of learning Spanish at home. The second step of learning Spanish at home would be to work with a more comprehensive program. I say more comprehensive because now that you know what the language sounds like and you know basic structure of the language, now it's time to learn a more in-depth element of the language, such as grammar, writing, reading, and more vocabularies. In my case, it was Rosetta Stone. I like the Rosetta Stone because it only teaches you in the language of the instruction, so you have to think what they are trying to demonstrate. And I think that this was a very good feature of the program because it really forces you to think. And forcing you to think and thinking about what you're learning is an essential process of learning a language. Rosetta Stone is a more comprehensive program because it addresses many aspects of language acquisition, such as grammar, reading, speaking, listening, and it also offers tutoring sessions with native speakers. Grammar is taught in context in a series of demonstrations. Instruction is given in the language that you're learning, and this can be a challenging feature because sometimes you may not understand what they are trying to teach you. But I think that this can be a good feature because it really forces you to think and allow you to profit from this thing called disfluency effect. Disfluency effect is something that I've talked about in one of my videos, which I will post, so check it out if you're interested. Rosetta Stone is not a perfect program by any means. However, you can make it work for you if you do some homework. I had to look up on a lot of the words that I didn't understand. So whenever I didn't understand what they were trying to demonstrate, they are trying to teach, I would just consult a dictionary. These days, I would use Google Translate, and Google Translate will be able to translate the phrases or the sentences that are you're learning. Step 3 of learning Spanish at home. The third step of learning Spanish at home would be to increase your vocabulary through reading. The above programs that I've talked about have pros and cons. No program will teach you to speak the language. You have to do your own learning through reading books, even after you have gone over so many programs. When you are learning a new language, I think that the books that you are going to read will be at the beginner level. Beginner level books are typically would be what children would be reading. For books to read as a beginner learner, I would like to recommend reading fairy tales and First Spanish Reader. For fairy tales, I read Cinderella in Spanish, Cenicienta, and it was very interesting and very instructive. And First Spanish Reader was an excellent book. I liked the one edited by Angel Flores. These books are available online at very good prices. So I'd like to highly recommend that you try these books. When it comes to reading, make it a daily habit to read and always build vocabulary in the context and attempt to memorize sentences even if you may forget later. That's because things tend to come together in a mysterious way in the end, so I think that it would be worthwhile to give it a try. Step 4 of learning Spanish at home. The fourth step of learning Spanish at home would be a very crucial step. So far, we've talked about things that we do at home. Now it's time to branch out. It is so important that we interact in the new language that we have acquired. You want to put all the language knowledge that you've accumulated into practice. Where do you find these conversation groups? These days, learning a new language is so much easier than before. You can Google conversation groups, and also you can join many of the language groups on social medias. In my case, I just ran into a group when I was waiting for my car fixed in a local cafe. So you just have to get started, and then things will lead to another, and they will guide you to the right path of learning. Step 5 of learning Spanish at home. The last step of learning Spanish at home is to review all the other 4 steps that you have taken so far, because there's so much more to learn in any of these steps that I've talked about. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video, click subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on any of the future content that I'll be putting out. And also, please share your comments so that I know how better help you next time. Thanks for watching. 안녕히 계세요. Au revoir. Ciao. Bye guys.